Hey everybody, welcome to the latest video. This is the Dialord one for my Life Taps and Backstabs YouTube channel. This is the YouTube channel where I talk about my three favourite classes in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, which are the Rogue, as you can see in the clip at the moment, running around the Enclave being an absolute badass, the Dialord and the Necromancer, and then we've got little smatterings of the Enchant, which I'm really enjoying at the moment as well. So the Dialord video, everybody's been like poking me saying, when are you going to do the Dialord video? When are you going to do the Dialord video? Well, it's now. It's now. So we're going to go through, I've got my little Dialord, he's over in Silent Plain, so we're going to have a quick chat about all the abilities that we've got, how they play, what the state of the game is for them at the moment. And on screen at the moment you can see the greatest Dialord in Terminus, Mr. Diab. He's currently hiding behind a big graphic, a big spell effect graphic, but there he is, Mr. Diab. It's not related to my Necromancer Diabolou. We are completely different people, but yeah, so I'm completely terrified of doing this video because Diab is clearly in my dream team lineup. And being one of the best Dialords I know, he's going to be sitting there judging me and going, nope, that's wrong, nope, that's wrong. So all the Dialords out there, if you do have any kind of comments or thoughts, because I think genuinely, I think the Dialord is a very... it's a class that you can play, not particularly in different directions, but you can have very different opinions on what abilities are useful and when you use them and how you use them, and even how many abilities you kind of chain click, because I've got some thoughts on that in terms of which abilities. And here's my little Dialord. Look, he's so small he can hide in the grass. He's awesome. So yeah, in terms of how many of these abilities you click when they're available and how much essence you kind of should have during a fight and keep during a fight, and the same with the readiness, how much readiness you should be keeping during the fight. Do you need to hold on to these resources? Do you need to deplete them all the way through during a fight and things like that? Yeah, let's get into that. We've got a little Dialord here. This is my little Malleus, who's got they've actually put in the funky little leg, so you can do the sassy stance. You can do the sassy stance now on the halflings as well as the humans and the ogres. So yeah, little sassy stance on my. It's so funny. I wanted to be an elf rogue, which I have. Solar is an elf rogue. I wanted to be an elf rogue, an elf necromancer, and an elf Dialord, but unfortunately, Pantheon have banned that, so they've not allowed those combinations. So I didn't particularly want to be an ogre Dialord, so I've got a halfling Dialord, which to me is hilarious. And then my necromancer Diabolou will end up being a gnome at some point when those come out, but at the moment he's a human. Anyway, Dialords. Right, let's get into the Dialords. Right, first things first. The thunder. The thunder is really cool in this game now. The patch yesterday had a number of things which they just kind of like stealth dropped in the game. The footsteps. I mean, my feet are vanishing through the floor here. That happens all the time. But yeah, the footsteps are a little bit louder. The thunder's really cool. So they've done some really good work on sound effects and things, and the ambient sound in the game. Yeah, let's have a talk. So this is the loadout I was tanking last night. This is the loadout that I was using last night. So we've got Arcane Tear 2. This is the Arcane Tear that you get at level 30 that opens up. You can, well, when it opens up as if you have Arcane Tear 1 on here. And then once you've hit Arcane Tear 1, you can then go to Arcane Tear 2. That's what it looks like. However, just take Arcane 1 off the bar, and then you can then put Arcane 2 on itself. And this is actually a really good, well, in my opinion anyway, it's a pretty good one to click in every time you have some spare readiness kind of thing. You've got the Ready Blade here as well. We also have the Haunted Slash. Also, levels off decks or also scales off decks. It doesn't seem to hit as hard as Arcane Tear. Maybe that's just me. So I tend to. So it's one of the things on the Rogue as well. There's one particular ability which seems to hit harder with the initial hit. So I tend to use, if I do have spare readiness, I tend to use those ones that would seem to hit harder or crit more on the initial hit more often. That's probably like a little bit of a placebo thing, but a bit of a Mandela effect kind of thing. But yeah, so Arcane Tear 2 I have in there. I have the Ready Blade, which obviously increases my parry chance, which is fantastic. I always try and get that on, so I make sure that when I'm fighting a mob, or when I'm fighting at any time kind of thing, like as soon as that buff wears off, then I will make sure that I've hit it again, so that it's not wearing off. It's like on constantly. And then the same with Arcane Tear as well, so making sure that you always have the resistances up as well. We are a caster tank, really good at tanking casters for things like the Arcane Tear, so that's going to buff up our resistances really, really well. And we are going to be able to mitigate a bit more of the caster damage coming in. I've also got Blood Red Blade in here as well, and then of course we've got Rune Carver. Rune Carver is fantastic for gaining that essence up, particularly now that we finally have the Nightmare Stance is actually useful now. It used to be absolutely terrible and you'd never use it, so you were always in the Torrential Veins state, which gave you more essence anyway. But now that this has actually kind of come in and being useful, so it's now changed so that it causes 20% of all the damage you take to be applied as bonus threat, which is brilliant. Dialords don't necessarily struggle with threat, however this also increases your resistances as well, so you get even more resistance stack up on that. So just unbuffed, I'm not at all particularly twinked here now. I was a few levels ago, but my gear has sort of tailed off. I need to start kind of picking some gear up here, but this is unheard of for like any of my other characters. This is unheard of, just as a starting point. And then the Arcane Tear kind of goes on there as well, so that's going to increase everything by 20 even on top of that. So I'm kind of starting with like 30 resistance, so I'm mitigating 30% of all caster damage coming in. And then of course we can click our Vital Cage as well, to just completely nullify something coming in as well. So that's the technique ones up there. Haunted Slash is Haunted Slash is an interesting one. If you're using it, it is kind of a lower level one, so as you're leveling up it is useful to have on until you get some of the other abilities. Like Blood Red Blade is quite a higher level one, same with the Rune Carver. So yes, but by all intents and purposes use it as lower levels. I tend to drop it off at later levels because you don't really need that bonus threat. It's quite good to snap aggro. Dialords struggle a little bit with that, like snap aggro straight away. There's a couple of abilities that we have, like Dire Grip, like Call of the Dire, which can do snap aggro, but the cooldown on those is quite a lot. So if you are finding yourself in a fight or in a group where you haven't got a lot of crowd control and you are getting ads coming and the ads are popping off to casters and things, then you can drop that Haunted Slash on and just drag them over to you initially without having to drop a Provoking Phantoms or drop a Corrupt Blood on the mob to drag them over. In terms of tanks, so this is the main thing for me about Dialords in a group, is that you have to remember what your role is as a tank. Your role as a tank is not to DPS, which is good because Dialords have terrible DPS now. We haven't got great DPS. The state of the Dialords has kind of gone, like our damage has gone down quite a bit since weapon damage, and this is just an ongoing like niggle for me. Weapon damage is not at all linked to not weapon damage. All our kind of like abilities are not at all linked to the weapon damage of our weapons. So I've got the Cursed Supcate Blade, which is damage 33. It doesn't really matter what I'm using. That's only going to affect my auto attack damage. They have kind of linked it a little bit more back in with some of the techniques, but not so much, which was a bit of a shame because we used to be able to hit Blood Fiend and go in with like a two-hander and just hit something really hard and get quite a lot of health back. And that was really interesting and a really fun way of kind of tanking, and that's tends to be the way on a Dialord to tank, in terms of balancing out the damage coming in with the healing that you've got going out as well. So obviously we have the Blood Fiend, which is always on, so we're always getting a little bit, sorry, not that one, that one. So we're always getting a little bit of health back as we're putting our physical damage out, and then we can increase that as well with Blood Fiend as we click it every minute and a half. We can get a little bit more of that heal coming back in. So if we just go and hit something now. So your role as a tank is purely to hold threat. So you have to hold aggro, you have to make sure that a mob is always going to be hitting you, so that the rest of the group, and this is one of the things that I think gets missed a lot in Pantheon, your role in a group is to make that group better. The role as a rogue is to make that group better. The role as a Dialord is to make that group better, and you make that group better by holding aggro. Now, Dialords are phenomenal at holding aggro after about 3 seconds. So as you can see here, we've got a Dialord Ripper there. So, sorry, a Thornscale Ripper. The initial kind of way that I would hold aggro on something like this is you hit Provoking Phantoms on it. That gives you this Provoking Phantom initial threat. Then I'm going to put Corrupt Blood on there, which increases again. So that's going to slowly increase my threat as it's ticking away. But then these two, Devour, the two Devour lines, do quite a lot of threat, and they also add stacks of Provoking Phantoms as well. So quite quickly, within a few seconds, I can Arcane Tear, Blood Red Blade, or whatever. I can stack up all these stacks of Provoking Phantoms, and now I'm very, very unlikely to be able to have that threat taken off me, or taken the aggro taken off me. So yeah, that's a really, really simple and quick way of getting that initial threat. Now, where it becomes tricky is when we start having to, and this is like our DPS is just like so slow, we just kind of chip away at them. This is the Dialord way of, you're not going to kill me because I can always life tap something back. I can get, like, I can harm shield and put some damage into you. I can Blood Fiend and get some health back. I can life tap and get some health back. So you're not actually going to kill me. It's just, they're almost like a reverse cleric, in that the clerics aren't going to die because they're not taking any damage because they've got full plate and they've got a barrier, but they haven't got a lot of damage going out. Not a lot is going to kill a Dialord, because although they're hitting us, then we're getting their health and we're siphoning that health back all the time as well. So we're pretty strong in terms of what we're able to kill, particularly as you get to some of the higher levels and you're able to kind of wander pretty safely. Dialords also have quite a high hit points because we're wearing chain, so we haven't got that high AC, so we do have quite high hit points. So a Dialord tank, rather than mitigating the damage that's coming in because we've got high AC, we think of a Dialord as more of, we've got a lot of hit points to play with, so that as our hit points go down, we can then kind of, we've got the room to then top them up with some of our abilities. So we can take a long fight, and we can take those long fights and be very, very heal efficient, because we're able to kind of Blood Fiend or life tap underneath things like bubbles, which is really cool. So a Dialord and a Cleric work really well together now. So you can take a little bit of damage, like, so you can drop down to about 80, 75, 80% health like this, get a bubble put on you by the Cleric, and then you can heal yourself underneath that bubble with life taps or Blood Fiends. And things like that. So and then obviously, like, Shamans and Druids are really good for Dialords as well, because again, same thing, we could use our Sanguine Shield to add that shield on, absorb a little bit of damage, and then we can heal underneath it, either through talismans or through heal over time spells as well. So speaking of some of the techniques that we've got over here, sorry, not the techniques, the utilities. Speaking of some of the utilities that we've got over here, let's have a look at some. So Sanguine Shield is giving us a little bit of a barrier. So as we click that, we're going to get this barrier across that absorbs some damage. It absorbs, I think it's 10%. 25%. So it absorbs 25% of your maximum health for 24 seconds. So it gives me at like 1200 hit points, it will give me what's that, 300 hit points worth of a barrier coming in, so I can absorb 300 hit points of damage. Again, that's really, really good and really useful to use as I've taken a few hit points like this. So if I'm going to go and kill this mob here now, I've taken a little bit of damage. Let's just pull it in. I've taken a little bit of damage. I can then barrier and then heal underneath that barrier while I'm taking that damage coming in, and then I can kind of top myself up safely, sort of thing, as that damage comes in. So yeah, let's just drop this. God, the sound volume's gone very high. Let's just drop all of that down a little bit. All the they've been playing around with some of the audio clearly in the game, because that's gone quite high now. Yeah, so that's one of the cool things about Sanguine Shield is, and then it also stacks with the Cleric one as well. So it gives you a little bit of a barrier, a bit of safety as you're killing things. And then Blood Fiend, of course, Blood Fiend is phenomenal. So Blood Fiend increases the amount of damage that you heal when you're doing the damage out. So if you noticed, when I was killing that mob here, I was hitting the mob for 18 and I was healing myself for 3. If you click Blood Fiend, then you're going to hit the mob for 18. You're going to heal yourself for, I think it's 9. I think you heal yourself for 20 for half the damage when that's on. I'd be clicking Blood Fiend reasonably regularly. It helps out with the healers. You have to make sure, well, you don't have to make sure, but it's useful to let the healers know that you are able to do things like Blood Fiend and Sanguine Shield as well. So if you are 75% health, just let them know that you can just kind of top it off, and it's not an urgent heal sort of thing if you're 75, because you can kind of quite easily and quite quickly heal underneath that. It's when you start dropping a little bit lower that they need to start thinking about the damage coming in and the heals going out. And then the one of my favourites is Harm Shield. So Harm Shield is absolutely brilliant, and it's also really good for when you have a couple of mobs coming in. So if you have 2 mobs coming in, 2 characters coming in, and maybe one of them's a caster, one of them's a melee. So if you haven't got any crowd control, what you can do is you can tank both of them, but target and initially hit the caster mob, because the caster mob, you can then do your vital cages, because you've got it targeted and you can see when it's going to be casting things. Got to make sure I'm keeping an eye out for the Titan again. So you can actively like shut down the caster, but then you can just let the melee mob hit on you, drop a quick blood boil, corrupt blood on it, boil blood, whatever, drop one of those on just to kind of keep him hitting you. Then you can hit Harm Shield, and the way that works is for 15 seconds, when you are hit, 20% of that damage done will be directed back to the mob within 5 meters. So as it's hitting you, it's taking damage, and it's obviously keeping aggro and keeping taunt on that extra mob as well, which is really, really useful. So Harm Shield, I tend to use Harm Shield every time it's up. As soon as it's up. The only time I won't use it if it's up is if it's a caster mob. If it's a caster mob coming at me, then they're going to be sitting there and casting. It's not really an efficient use of Harm Shield. It's more if it's a melee mob. So, for instance, like a Dragon Priest or a Charblade down in the Enclave, or a Reaver down in Halnir Cave, something like that. Something that's just hitting you. Like a Frenzied mob is also fantastic for it. Because they're taking all that frenzied damage that they're throwing out at you, they're taking that back in, and that's also helping with your threat and your aggro as well. So you don't have to, if you are going to click Harm Shield, you don't have to worry as much, not that you really worry anyway, about stacking up your Provoking Phantom stacks to keep your aggro. Provoking Phantoms had a little bit of a change recently as well, so now the stacks don't go up to 20, they just stop at 10, but they do give you more threat per stack, which is good. One of the problems that Dire Lords had, or one of the challenges Dire Lords had, was holding aggro quickly. So as you were coming in here, there we go. So as you were coming in here, you were trying to build up your aggro really quickly, building up your stacks and your threat really quick, so that you could then hold that. Whereas now you don't have to worry too much about getting your stacks up quickly, because the threat for each stack is more. So 3, 4, 5 stacks is usually okay, and then you can build that up as you go through the fight. Life tap's a really good one to just kind of very quickly throw it on. It's an interesting one, life tap. It would be, even though it's a fast cast, it would be quite cool if it hit harder. Slower cast, hit harder, gave us more health, rather than kind of what it's doing now. But yeah, you can also kind of base your life taps, and you can kind of lean into your life taps as well, with the intelligence. So there's a lot of, I've got that on my head, for instance. There's a lot of kind of Dire Lord gear at the moment, which is starting to get a little bit of intelligence dropped on it. So it's quite easy to kind of stack that intelligence up. I have got a few little bits of earrings as well. That one's a stamina one. I did have an intelligence one. There it is. Oh no, that's dexterity. I'm sure I did have. I think I swapped it off because I started my necro a little bit more, so the necro had a bit of my intelligence gear swapped over. But you can quite easily drop some intelligence over from jewelry and max out some of that. What I wouldn't recommend is going full intelligence and just trying to find the best intelligence gear, because that tends to be things like cloth. Don't drop your AC down, because even though you can then life tap for more, you're taking so much more damage coming in, you're not going to be able to keep up. Remember, as a Dire Lord, your role is A, to keep aggro, and B, if you can, make your healer's life nice and easy as well. So yeah, Harm Shield's quite good fun. Essence Thief, Essence Thief's fantastic. So Essence Thief, if you've got Dire Grip and Essence Thief are fantastic. They work really well together. If you have lots of mobs coming in, then you can Dire Grip them all to you, keep them away from your casters, keep them away from your healers, keep them away from your enchanters if you like, and then you can also Essence Thief all of them as well, so they will definitely stay on you. You're doing threat to them, doing curse damage, and then you're gaining. I think you gain essence still. Yeah, you get 200 essence for each enemy affected. So if you've got lots of mobs around there, then you're pulling the essence from them as well, and really topping up your essence during the fight. Now, in terms of essence, just before we get to kind of like essence usage and readiness usage, we do have the last two ones here as well. So we've got Touch of Blood, which is our, I think they did an article a while ago about iconic abilities, which I don't think really should have been titled iconic abilities. It was more, these are some cool abilities which I'll come into the game soon. Touch of Blood is a bit of an iconic ability for the Dire Lord. It has been tweaked a little bit. They've turned the dial down a fraction. It used to do however much health you had left to heal, it would do that damage back to the mob. Now it's only 50%, I think. Yeah, so it's only 50%. So if you've got 1,000 damage, if you've taken 1,000 damage and you've got like 10% health left, you can click it. It will heal you for 1,000 damage, and it will do 500 damage back on the mob. Which, like, for the cooldown, I don't particularly agree that was a necessary kind of dial tweak. I think doing the full damage was absolutely fine. It's not like it's going to make anybody overpowered. It's a 25, 30 minute cooldown. Yeah, it's 30 minute cooldown. Who cares if you're doing 2,000 damage to a mob every 30 minutes? Anyway, so yeah, that's really cool. Excellent for those clutch moments where you maybe end up with 4 or 5 mobs in the camp. Shit's gone down. The healers are running really low on mana, and you just kind of say, "Don't worry, I've got it. Don't heal me for a second." You drop all the way down to like 5% health. It's also a great game as a Dire Lord as well. How low dare you let that health go? Because you know that you're going to get it all back, but you also know that you're going to do some proper damage to the mob as well. So letting that drop as low as you can, and then hitting it and recovering the situation, it's fantastic. You'll notice that my vital cage and my life tap here are, again, these are on my special keys, if you like. So E next to my WASD. E and Q are next to my WASD. Really, really accessible, along with 1, 2, 3. So I've got my life tap on my Q, and then I've got Vital Cage on my E. It's only a 20-second cooldown, so if you're fighting a caster, it doesn't cost anything at all. So I would be using this as often as you can. If you see a caster if you see a caster casting a spell, and you know from experience that spell is a direct damage or an AoE or something, just click it. There is no reason to not be clicking this all the time, and making sure that you can resist a little bit of that damage coming in. Resisting damage coming in as a Dire Lord is critical because you've got that chain armor. So it's really, really good and really useful for mitigating some of that damage coming in, or just completely stopping that damage coming in. I mean, it's up again already. Like, 20-second cooldown is absolutely nothing. So if you're fighting casters, Dire Lords are phenomenal for mitigating all that damage. And again, remember, Arcane Tear, it's stacking up. Let's go and hit a mob just so that we can see. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. Right, so they are all the utilities. I don't think there's anything particularly else in there that, I mean, Diamark is vaguely useful sometimes. I have had it on a little bit when we've been fighting with a enchanter who's particularly competent. Really, really good, gets everything locked down quite quickly. I will occasionally throw my Diamark on there so I can put it on like the enchanter, or maybe I'm leveling or grouping with a lower level shaman or something, and they're pulling a bit of aggro. Like, occasionally, it's not that good. It's not that useful. Mark a member of your group within 15 meters. It's only for 10 seconds, and then some of the damage they take, I take instead. So I'm saving them a little bit. If you're in a group, if you are going to have that Diamark on, I would have the person you want to save predominantly, at least, as your defensive target as often as you can, just so you can click it when you need to. But ultimately, I would be trying to run Essence Thief in here as often as you can, because it's just brilliant. You'll notice that I've also got my Deafening Whisper in here as well, so that's number 3. These are my 3 really easily accessible abilities, and then along with these 2 at the end. So Essence Thief, Deafening Whisper. Deafening Whisper is one of those things in the game at the moment now that always seems to be grayed out, because there's always another class in your group that has silenced or stunned or done something with the mob, which then locks out Deafening Whisper. Which is a bit of a pain, to be honest. And also, one of the other things is that when you know that you're fighting a mob that can do an ability that you want to interrupt, you end up kind of doing your initial rotation of getting taunt and aggro, and then just sitting there waiting for it to cast it so that you can interrupt it. And it sort of takes away the entire fight, because you don't want to use any essence. You don't want to use any essence so that you can't cast it. And then you don't want to cast something in case the mob then is casting something and you can't interrupt it. So it's a weird nightmare little situation. But I do tend to have it on there. It's one of those emergency. It's clutch when you can cast it. We've also got Essence Harvester here as well. So Essence Harvester, phenomenal. It's really, really good. I would, again, as soon as it is up, as long as the mob isn't like at 10% health or something, as soon as it's up, you cast it on the mob, and it basically leeches essence from you, from the mob, so that you've always got that essence ready. Now, essence generation and when you use your essence, I would advocate that you front load your essence usage. So in a fight, I would use your essence right at the beginning of the fight. I would throw Provoking Phantoms on there. I would throw Corrupt Blood, Boil Blood, whatever it is on there. I would drop a couple of the Devours on there. I'd drop the Arcane Tear, and then I would top it up with Rune Carver, something like that. I would use your essence really early on. Maybe throw a couple of life taps in just to kind of top your health off and give the healer a nice kind of starting point. And then after that, I would leave it. I would leave it like you don't really need lots of corrupt blood on the mob unless you're soloing. You don't really need to, because as you're going through the fight, you're building your threat and your aggro anyway. So by like 5 seconds into the fight, nobody's really going to be pulling aggro off you unless you have a warrior in there who's being a bit of a dick and snap aggroing taunt off you or something like that, just so that he can say, "Oh look, I've got aggro." Yeah, after that, I would let the essence build back up again, because one of the worst things as a Dire Lord is going into a fight with no essence. Particularly when if you're playing with an enchanter and you've got 3 mobs in camp, for instance. If you've dumped all your essence on the first mob because you've been life tapping right at the end to try and kill the mob, that's not your responsibility. That's the wizard, or that's the rogue, or that's the monk, or that's the summoner in the group. That's their responsibility to kill the mob. It's not their responsibility, but that's their role. Like, they can drop the massive aggro, the massive damage at the end when the mob's turning and running. So if you're dropping all your essence at the end of a fight in life taps to do some damage to kill the mob in that last 10%, you've then run out of all your essence. So when you break the charm, when you break the mez of the next mob, you don't have any essence to gain threat. Having said that, how do you break mez as a Dire Lord? Now, there's a really, really simple and really, really easy way of doing that. And this is why you need to have your essence ready at the beginning of a fight. If I run up to a mez mob and just auto attack it and hit it, it's going to turn around and it's going to run straight for the enchanter. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter what the enchanter does. Even if the enchanter uses confusing blow, which drops their aggro a little bit, it's still going to run straight at the enchanter because I have no aggro on it. What you want to do before you break a mez, you drop a Provoking Phantoms on it. That gives you a little bit of an initial threat, and it puts a stack of Provoking Phantoms on. You can then do 2 Devours, or just 1 Devour if you want to, but they're only 200 essence. They're a 1-second cast. If you've only got 1 Devour on your bar, you can do it twice. So, for instance, if you've only got Devoured Intellect on here, you can Devour it once, Devour it twice. It will then put 2 more stacks of Provoking Phantoms on the mob. After that, you can then either break mez with Corrupt Blood, so you can drop Corrupt Blood on. That gives you another stack of Provoking Phantoms, so you're then going into the fight with 4 stacks plus the additional threat of Corrupt Blood. And then, as soon as you can get to the mob, hit an Arcane Tear, and that will add another stack on as well. It's either Arcane Tear or Ready Blade. I think Ready Blade adds a stack on. So yeah, remember, you'll have to remind me, Dire Lords, which one that one is. But there's one of the techniques that add, I think it's Rune Carver as well. Some of the techniques add a stack on, so you want to go in there and add that stack on as well, and then that will snap aggro, and then you will keep that aggro as the mez breaks. It might turn to the chanter and cast a spell as you break the mez, but then it will come straight back to you straight away. So that's how you break a mez, and that's why it's really important at the start of a fight to have essence to play with. What you don't want to do as a Dire Lord, let's run to this little dude over here. What you don't want to do as a Dire Lord, because so that's 1, that's the 2nd stack, that's the 3rd stack, there we go, that's the 4th stack, that's the 5th stack, that's the 6th stack. I think Arcane Tear gives you a stack. Let's find out. Yep, so Arcane Tear, 7th stack as well. So all the techniques give you a stack as well. So I would go over there, Provoking Phantoms on it, 2 lots of the Devours, and then a Corrupt Blood to break it, and then an Arcane Tear straight away to take me up to 5 stacks. That's plenty, and you're not going to lose any. You're not going to lose any aggro fights with an enchanter doing that. So that's how much essence you sort of need. So if I'm finishing a fight doing this, just to kind of kill the mob, I've now finished. I'm on 200 essence. I can't do anything. Like I can cast one Devour, so I can drop a Provoking Phantoms on it because it's free, and then I can drop one Devour on a mob. That's 2 stacks of Provoking Phantoms. I'm not getting anything, so make sure at the end of the fight you are retaining your essence so that you can go into your next fight fresh. Yes, you can wait, but it's an awful long time to wait, and it only finishes at 500. It stops at 500, so your initial generation of essence, it just stops here at 500. So again, that's Provoking Phantoms and one Devour and a Corrupt Blood. That's it. So yeah, just make sure when you're fighting in a group, you front end all your essence generation. Right, now, is there anything else interesting? I mean, soloing as a Dire Lord is fine. Like I was saying, you are pretty much just making sure your health is your I mean, obviously you're going to make sure of this, but you're making sure that the damage coming in is less than the healing that you've got going out. So there's a few ways of doing that. Just make sure that you are always topping up your essence with Rune Carver and Essence Thief and Essence Harvester. You can life tap when you need to. If you're a little bit lower, I would be clicking your Blood Fiend on as often as you can. Use your essence for Sanguine Shield as often as you can to give you that little bit of a buffer, and to heal underneath it as well. If you are taking a lot of damage, just hit that Sanguine Shield just to give you a buffer and a little bit of a slow time. But like, we do have, I suppose there is Thresh up here as well. We probably talk about Thresh as well. Thresh does do quite a bit of damage. It's all right. It's all right. But again, it's not really our role to be doing damage. So Thresh is a bleed as well. So is that still actually in? That we're taking more damage if taking more heal? I don't think it is. I think that got removed. We used to get more healing from when we were hitting with our Blood Fiend if the mob was bleeding, but I don't think that's a thing anymore. So let's just throw some damage on there. So Thresh hits for 38 initially, and then it ticks for about 30-40 a tick on the crit, and then 26 normally. So it does a reasonable amount of damage, same amount of damage as kind of Corrupt Blood, that kind of thing. It was quite fun to see that It Lives proc kind of come in as well. They have sorted that out in this patch, so rather than you having to dodge an attack and it procking, it's now just like a damage shield percentage, so it gives you an option or gives you a chance to proc it as you're taking damage coming in. So yeah, I've taken half health now. I'm going to click my Blood Fiend. Blood Fiend is going to heal myself as I'm auto attacking. It also heals as I'm doing this damage as well. So anything like this, I'm healing and doing that damage as well. And you can see my health now is going up faster than it is going down. So as soon as you're clicking your Blood Fiend on, I would make sure that you've got full readiness, so that you can then do 3 rotations of full readiness abilities, so that you can heal with the Blood Fiend. That's always really useful. Yeah, if you are soloing, I would probably sit in Nightmarish as well. That's probably the state, because you want to be putting out all your abilities a little bit more when you're soloing, rather than if you're in a group. If you're in a group, essence generation isn't that much of an issue. Like I was saying, you put it at the front and then you leave it. When you're soloing, you want to be doing all this kind of stuff. So you want to be able to have essence available, so that you can life tap, so that you can interrupt any kind of potential fear effects or spell casting and things like that. Yeah, generally as a Dire Lord, they are really good fun. I need to start kind of focusing on this guy a little bit now and getting him some gear. I had twinked him as we were leveling up. This is my best friends group that we played EQ with. So this is the tank that I play in that group, and it's really good. It's a really good fun group where I'm showing all my friends like the cool bits of Pantheon, because I've got my Sarlor who's level 50 and things like that. So I twinked him a little bit. I do now need to go and find him some gear a little bit higher level so that we can go and do some things like the Ash Breathers and push our group a little bit further. Yeah, Dire Lords, a lot of fun. They are really, really cool. I wish this guy was level 50. Just so that I could go and explore. They are really good at soloing. They are really good at going out there and camping names if you want to. There's a really nice new name down in Halnir, who a Dire Lord is fantastic for kind of going down there and camping and soloing, and they are a really good class. The kind of the skill ceiling on the Dire Lord, I think, is incredibly high. I think there's some timing and some kind of twitching that you can get on the Dire Lord, which other classes don't tend to have quite as much. The Rogue is quite cool on the kind of the twitch reaction play, but the Dire Lord is also kind of like really, really high on that. Vital Caging at the right time as they're casting a spell, Deafening Whisper at the right time, so you're picking the right spell to interrupt. You got to pick the right time to Blood Fiend. I would never Blood Fiend at full health, for instance. So you got to kind of it's quite a nice balancing act I nearly said a Blood Mage then. Blood Mage was Vanguard. That was a proper balancing act. Oh my god, that's probably the Blood Mage is probably one of the favourite classes I think I've ever played in an MMO. Completely unique and original class. Yeah, I think I kind of wish they were leaning a little bit more, or they would lean a little bit more into the way that a Dire Lord takes more damage, because we are a chain class, so we don't have. I mean, my AC is not. It's 211. It's not that great. The fact that we are taking more damage. But also on the flip side of that we can kind of play around with those resources coming in. So the health coming in, the health going out, the damage going out. I think they could lean a little bit more into that. And I think we have been neutered just a little bit on like things like Blood Fiend. And then also Blood Fiend, but also these then not having any kind of weapon damage linking. So in previous incarnations of the game, you could hit Blood Fiend, you could have a massive two-hander. I will show you my massive two-hander. Are you ready? There's my massive two-handed sword. It's a bit more of a toothpick, but yeah, you could go in. You could go in with Blood Fiend. You could click Blood Fiend. You could go in with a two-hander, and you could properly hit something with like Ready Blade and hit it for 200 and heal yourself for 100. It was really, really cool and really fun. And the way they've just kind of taken ability damage and technique damage and linked it so hard into your stats and made the weapon damage pretty insignificant, I think is a little bit sad. And I wish they would kind of go back and do it slightly differently. Yeah, that was a good time. And I think I don't think it was particularly overpowered in terms of how Dire Lords were able to tank back then. Yeah, they're good. They're good. They're in a good position. If you have a good tank, obviously we have a very good tank in our little dream team group. There he is, Mr. Diab. So if you are a good tank as a Dire Lord, there's not a lot that can touch you. They're phenomenal. They're really, really good fun. Yeah, hopefully that has been informative and interesting. If you've got anything you would like to say about Dire Lords, please drop them down in the comments down below. They're great. I do like it. I wish this guy had had a few more levels under his belt, and also a little bit more gear under his belt, so that I could go and explore a little bit more and just kind of push myself a bit more. He does. I mean, he doesn't struggle, but I want to go and do some of the high level areas, and I can't quite do that yet. But yeah, little Malleus. I don't know what they've done with the shadows in the game at the moment. Like, I can't see like what's happened to my face. Where's my face gone? Like, the shadows have gone really dark again. Anyway, right, enough kind of waffling from me. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please drop a like, put a comment down below if you're a Dire Lord. I want to know everything, any tips, any tanking tips, any solo tips, anything like that. Drop them down below so that we can share that with all the other Dire Lords in the game. Let me know what you thought, what you're thinking about the Dire Lord at the moment. Is it a problem that our DPS is low? Do we need kind of the dials tweaking a little bit? I'm an advocate of kind of not kind of tweaking dials until everything is in the game. So I would like all our abilities in, absolutely everything. Get everything up to level 50. Get some more abilities in here as well. I want more kind of ways to play around with. Like, I want to be able to take some health from one party member and give it to somebody else. I mean, I'm probably kind of leaning into Blood Mage stuff too far now, but like, playing with life forces feels like a Dire Lordy thing to do. So that would be really cool to be. I keep missing the jump on that. That would be really cool to see going forward. So yeah, get all the abilities in, and then let's start kind of tweaking dials and just kind of pushing things back to hopefully a bit more personal healing. So yeah, thanks very much, everybody. Take care. Drop me a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in the next video. See you on Terminus. My name is Malleus. Drop me a message if you see me in game, and take care. Have a good time. Bye bye.